everybody. Welcome to Sylvania Football Show on the Howard Channel, along with QB1 Randy Cunningham, and of course our guest tonight, Coach Brad Waldrop at Sylvania Rams. Coach Waldrop, welcome to the show as always. And as we was talking about before we went live, tough one this past week at Collinsville, 28-26. Come up a little short, but your team plays hard and they play from start to finish, and they don't give up.
No, ain't no doubt about that. No doubt.
Um, you know, got behind the eight ball a little bit. The opening kickoff went to Collinsville. They drove down and scored, and then had a miscue on the kickoff to y'all, and Collinsville took the ball back and scored again. And then they did an onside kick that questionable 10 yards, but anyway, the referees gave it to them, and was getting ready to go in and score when Travis Owens chased the guy down from behind, knocked the ball out of the end zone, or y'all would have been down 21-0. But anyway, y'all fought back from a 14-0 deficit before you even touched the ball.
Yeah, we definitely got started off on the wrong foot. I don't know, we chose to defer and gave them the ball first, and can't say that you had them stopped, but we had them in 3rd and 12 and had a busted coverage and let them get behind us and pick up the first down. And they scored, and we didn't do a very good job on the ensuing kickoff and let the ball get on the ground. That's like the number one thing we preach when we're talking about kickoff return is don't ever let the ball get on the ground, because very seldom does anything good happen on a kickoff for the return team when the ball gets on the ground. But we just didn't get to it, let it get on the ground. They come up with it. Wound up scoring again there, and then they did kick an onside kick that they recovered. Like you said, questionable. I'm not going to go there. But, kids just kept playing, battled back into it. Made a really good game of it, played hard. The offensive line, they just keep getting better, starting to figure things out even more and more. And their technique just keeps getting better. And them working together is getting better, and their communication up front is getting better. The skill guys are starting to see things a little bit better. All in all, just, the kids, they just keep working, and I always say they just keep getting better at what they're trying to do. We just can't seem to hardly put one together. So, kind of feels like, in a sense, we're somewhat snake bit, but that's neither here nor there. The result is not what we wanted, but just got to keep doing what we do and just keep trying to get better and just keep working hard and keep our head up, and no matter what, just keep pressing forward.
I don't want to jinx it, but no turnovers Friday night. That's a plus. First game all year that y'all went without any turnovers. Technically, I know the botched kickoff was, I don't know if you really consider that a turnover or not, but as far as fumbles, interceptions, there's none of that. The penalties was held to a very minimum. So, everything seems like it's starting to gel here toward the end of the season.
Well, definitely better in that aspect. I consider, like we talked about, they got 2 basically onside kicks, so that's 2 possessions lost. Those are extra possessions as well. So, basically the same thing as a turnover. And then we had a muff punt. So, really gave them 3 extra possessions. So, not exactly, like you said, may not classify as a turnover, but it has the same result.
Right. Honestly, Coach, I didn't even look at it as lost possessions. When I think of a lost possession is when you actually had the ball and turn it over. But you're right, you did lose 3 possessions. But hey, they're playing hard, they're getting after it, and they're getting better week in and week out. And that's something that I'm not sure every coach in the state of Alabama can say their team is doing that. It's getting better week in and week out.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Whether I hate to say it that way, whether you win, whether you lose, you still, the ultimate goal is to find a way to get better. Not just every week, but every day, every practice. So, and I think we're doing that. So that's that's a, I guess you could say that's a bright spot.
Right. QB, what you got for us?
Coach, you said it just a minute ago. As the season goes on, you expect it to get better. It is getting better. But you as a coach and you as a staff, is this the hardest time of year for you all uh, as the year kind of rolls on, middle of the season? Kids tend to get motivated at the end of the season. Kids get real motivated at the beginning. I often think coaches got to do a little motivation this time of year.
Well, it is what it is. It every year it's the same thing. It's a grind.
Yes, sir.
It's not just you know, the football season is not just the schedule that you play. It starts way before then, and there's a whole lot of things, behind the scenes when it comes to game prep and practice prep that, a lot of people have no clue about what you're going through. But it ain't no surprise to nobody. So, ain't nobody surprised by how much work's involved in it. You just, it's what we do. And so I'm not, I'm not trying to downplay it any. It's just, you know, it's, it's no different than any other year. As far as that goes, you just have to do what you have to do.
Coach, you just took it kind of out of my mouth. I think it would shock fans that sit in the bleachers on Friday night that don't, they're great people. They're the reason we all get up and enjoy it. And I know I look out of my booth and every time the crowd's full, I'm just tickled to death. But I don't know if they understand how many months of prep has been involved in your process right now. These kids aren't in their seventh week. They're in their seventh month practically.
It started, way back toward the end of May. So um, it's just it's a long process, but that's what we do. So
Coach, what do you think right now? Putting game plans together. Everybody's got film on everybody now, and I ain't asking for the game plan or anything, but can you still, as a coach, effectively put in something that maybe somebody ain't seen yet this year?
oh yeah, we try to have a couple of wrinkles every week. You have to nowadays the way things are with technology, and like you said, everybody gets film of on everybody, and you don't know what they've got, what they hadn't seen, what they have seen. So you have to kind of just somewhat be creative, come up with a wrinkle off of this or off of that, and, anything to try to make somebody second guess herself. So it's that's part of the fun part of it is trying to come up with something just a little bit different to play off something you already did or something somebody has seen.
Coach, I'm gonna ask you a question about one of the kids, and I don't know who it is. You're gonna tell us. Is there a time that the defense is throwing at something that you might call a timeout, and there's a particular kid that you can bring over and maybe not even the quarterback and explain to you what they're doing up front to you or what the linebackers are doing? I know, the team I carry, there's a tackle that is just, he's a football genius. And every time the coach wants to know what's happening, he calls a timeout and calls him over. Do you have one of those kids?
Well, I've got, you know, my our quarterback, he's my middle child, and he's pretty reliable when it comes to that. He'll come to the sideline. About 90% of the time, he comes to the sideline to get to play. And if I ask him something, most of the time he knows. But in today's world with the technology we have, we've pretty much got eyes on it as we go. Sometimes it goes down and it ain't working right, but for the most part, we kind of have a pretty good idea of what they're doing.
I know we've got one future coach on our offensive line because I can go to him after every game and he can break down everything that happened. And him because, even sitting up in the booth looking down on it, you don't know. Well, they jumped into an odd man front or they jumped into an even man front or the outside linebacker was coming on first and third. This kid is just incredible. And I know you having a son plays the game too. There's a level with your quarterback and it being your, it don't matter who it is. It might be your son, like you said, but there's a level of understanding that you have to get about the offense through a couple of players. Or you find that every now and then you have to say, now, no, son, this, or
Oh
no.
yeah, yeah. That's pretty often. That's pretty often. He's definitely he's headstrong. He's a competitor. So sometimes he sees or thinks he sees something that's not really what's going on. But for the most part, he does a pretty good job keeping a level head and executing what it is that we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And right now, your freshmen kind of become sophomores, and your sophomores kind of become juniors. And this is kind of the year that a lot of young people has played a lot of football probably right now.
Oh, there ain't no doubt. There ain't no doubt. But like I said, they're they've come a long ways and um, ready to hopefully just keep growing, keep getting better.
It's amazing. They all stay the same age with the same enthusiasm, and we just keep getting older.
Ain't no doubt about that.
Howie, me and Coach going to sit over here and be old. Hey, I fell down at work the other day. I tripped. I told him the other day that's a sign I'm getting old when I'm tripping and falling at work. So,
Coach, fall break, 2 days. How has your practice schedule changed any, or has it?
It hadn't. It hadn't. We just kept it the same, just try to keep everybody on the same schedule. So, what it makes it easier, whereas it doesn't make it easier, it doesn't really matter. But got some volunteer guys, on the staff that help us coach, and so we just kind of keep things the same. That way, you don't have to worry about people trying to redo their schedules or work around stuff and things like that.
Let me apologize to you because I didn't even think about it being fall break, and I just assumed that you'd be doing it, and then all of a sudden today I'm like, I was talking to Randy. Randy called me and said, "Hey, we're doing Coach Brad." I'm like, I don't even know because I really hadn't asked. With Monday being a holiday and me being in Atlanta and all that, so I'm like, I don't know. I said, I hope so, and I just sent you the link, hoping for the best. and,
I hear
and
you.
later on, you sent me a. It was good, so we appreciate it, and
I put you on vacation, Coach. I knew you was practicing, but I told Hal, I thought you had told us you were doing something.
Yeah.
but hopefully we can get some of the kids on next week. Let's talk a little bit about Asbury. Taking the trip over to Asbury. Let's tell us a little bit about their offense, their defense. You know the routine. This is week number 7 of it. So tell us a little bit about their offense and defense if you don't care.
Well, they kind of multiple on offense. They got a bigger kid. Oh, not bigger. I don't know. Athletic type kid plays quarterback. He can run it a little bit. Got a pretty good arm. Um, they go back and forth. They spread you out, and then they'll be with two tight ends. Um, you know, um, Different looks. They get a little bit of unbalanced stuff, and try to get you out leverage that way. Um, got some decent athletes. Run around, run, catch it. Um, you know, it's a lot like what you see from a lot of other teams you play. They go back and forth and try to get you out leveraged, try to get you outnumbered. And, if you let the quarterback get out of the pocket, he can hurt you with his legs as well as with his arm. Defensively, I'm not real sure what we're going to see. It's always kind of a guess because you don't get to see anybody else kind of do what we do. So you're just kind of rolling the dice and hoping you guess right, when you're trying to show the guys during the week what you think they're going to be in. But they kids just like everybody else. They go out there and they line up and they try to compete and play hard. We just gotta take our game plan and go and execute it and worry about us.
Hey, Howie, let me interrupt just a second because that question got something to do, my coach. What percentage of teams still go unbalanced? Is it still 100%, or do you just see it half the time? Or I mean, back in the day, 10 years ago, everybody went unbalanced at some point.
Right. Um, I don't know if everybody does it now. I'd say probably more like uh, probably 70%, I guess. Guys on our schedule, I've seen them in unbalanced.
That's great. That's surprising. I thought it would be some. Well, I guess I get wasn't around the number I thought because we see it quite a bit, but maybe not to the level it was a few years ago.
Right.
Go ahead, Howie. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Offense, defense, special teams. How's their special teams look?
Um, you know, it's high school football. You're not going to have very many, those NFL type kickers, but they kick it. They got, specifically, I just noticed, a lot of times you don't see left-footed kids, but their kicker is left-footed. But not that makes any difference, just a little bit different. Um, they kick it and cover, and I think they do as good a job as what they can do.
I've noticed that the new thing is I guess you call it the pooch kick that it seems like everybody in high school has been going to. Um, Tell us a little bit about that, if you will.
Well, if you can execute it correctly, you take the kickoff and you can kind of directionally kick it to and try to minimize the amount of field that you have to cover. Because if you kick it high enough and you don't kick it too deep and you kind of keep it between the hash and the sideline, you can kind of get enough guys down there because, as a return team, you kind of think they're going to kick it to that side of the field, but whether you think they are or not, you don't know that they are. And so you still have to kind of basically cover the whole field with your return team. That's, the benefit of being the kicking team. You hope you know where you're going to kick it, and you can really concentrate your coverage to, a more localized area versus having to try to cover the entire field. Obviously, you want to try to get the majority of your cover guys right where the ball is going to be kicked. And if you kick it high enough and as far as the right distance down the field where your hang time allows your coverage guys to get down there, you don't really have to worry about covering because you kind of force the hand of the return guys to basically fair catch the ball. And if executed properly, you can kind of eliminate the threat of a return in the kicking game.
And we all know that in high school football, special teams can win and lose you quite a few games.
That's right.
Randy, is that something big that's going on up in Tennessee?
Yeah, and I don't know if I love it at all times. Coach kind of said it without saying it. If you kick it too far or kick it too short, you can cause yourself some problems when you do that. And we've got a kicker with a real big leg, so when they want to go away from it and just kick it away, he's capable of that too. But I really think we as a team and them as a coaching staff has a package of kickoffs from deep kickoff to the one you were talking about. The one I love is that they just scoot the ball at the ground level and you just try to get it rolling around back there. And that's anybody's ball. If you get it rolling around long enough, you can come recover it. So I'm always a big fan of that. I don't call it an onside kick when they kick it 20 or 40 yards down the field, but just get it rolling around.
That's what we call a squib kick, man.
Yeah, it's a squib, but not. I swear, I think I'd kick off that way every time, Coach. You can tell we got one that way last week, so I'm in love with it.
I hear you.
Well, it's it's something new that's hitting not everywhere. It seems like it.
I think the word squib for about 10 minutes there. Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
It's But left-footed kicker, y'all going to line up any different for you kick off with him being left-footed, or just normal stuff?
No. You know, we're gonna definitely try to get the ball when they kick it to us. So
I know that they say quarterbacks left-handed, right-handed quarterbacks throw a little bit different. So I didn't know if kickers, left and right foot kickers, kicked any difference or not.
it don't really affect the football that much.
Kickers are all crazy to start with, so
Yeah.
kickers and they're all just crazy.
Yep,
I
kickers
agree.
and kickers, absolutely. So, but taking a trip to Asbury, Coach, you ever been to Asbury coaching a football game?
I have.
Last time I was there, they had a pretty nice stadium. They were in the process of building it, though, but it seemed like it's a pretty nice stadium out in the middle of nowhere, unfortunately. Of course, that's where Asbury is out in the middle of nowhere.
It is. It is, but you know, it's nice. The field's it was then. It's been several years ago now, but in good shape, and you know, the facilities are well kept. It is you know, if you ain't never been there, you might have a little trouble finding it. But this time of year, you know, by the time the game's getting ready to start, it's already dark. So the lights, you can find it by the lights. If you get anywhere in the neighborhood.
I hate to admit it, but I've done that many a times going somewhere
I have
new.
too.
Going to yes.
Yeah, but a lot better than GPS. But going somewhere new, I've done that quite a few times. I'm just like, get me close enough to where I can see the lights, and I'll find it.
Yep.
And but taking that trip to Asbury this week, game preps. I know you said the practice schedule hadn't changed much. I know we had a couple of injuries on Friday night. We don't want you to go in details of all that, but how are you going into this game? Fairly healthy or what?
You know, it is what it is. It's you know, it's the game of football. You're gonna have bumps and bruises and bang ups, and you know, most of the time, you know, guys are just gonna play through it. That's part of it. But we're you know, we're as healthy as we've been. So try not to focus on it much. Just tape it up and keep rolling.
Yeah, I know Cookie turned his ankle last week, but he managed to get back out there and played, and it didn't seem like it slowed him down very much.
And you know, that's part of it. That's part of it.
They teenagers. It ain't going to slow them down much.
Right, Randy, I'll turn it over to you.
If you put a 17-year-old girl in the end zone, they'd score 88 points a game. That's my theory. Hey, Coach, I ain't got a whole lot for you tonight, but I do want to ask you about one thing that's kind of new to me in high school football, and that's everybody spreading everybody out. We've kind of went away from playing in a phone booth to now you're seeing 5 or 6 wide to just try to run the football. Does that make it different for you and the staff to try to? I mean, I don't know exactly how to attack that, but I guess that's the reason everybody's doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean it's different. You know, you have to obviously you can't line up 2 tights the same way you line up 5 wide. You've got to have you know, but you know, we start out like we was talking about earlier. We start in May with our base defense. You know, trying to show the kids every formation under the sun. And we have, you know, obviously there's more adjustments to the more, I guess you would say, popular formations, you know, especially when it comes to trips, you know, when you are spread, you look at 2x2 or 3x1. We've got multiple different things that we do to those couple sets. Whereas you may not have, but maybe, you know, 1 or 2 to some, you know, less common looks. But, you know, regardless of what they line up in, you got to be able to line up to it. About 95% of the battles getting lined up right.
Yeah.
So we, you know, that's a real focus is, you know, we call it form rec, where we show the kids, you know, multiple formations after formations and break the huddle and, you know, not really run plays at them, just show them different alignments and we make sure we get lined up right, and the kids understand what they're supposed to be looking at, based off the formation. And then, we'll do a motion series where we break the huddle in different formations and then motion different people and make sure we get, the different check, whatever that may need to be, depending on, obviously once you go in motion, your formation's changing. So it's a very taxing, detailed process, but it's definitely a necessary thing to do, because like I said, you don't get lined up right, you've already lost about 90% of the battle.
I think kids were smarter than we were, because all we saw was wing T, veer, or every now and then you'd get an option, and we felt like that was a lot back then.
Well, everything still kind of revolves around the same thing. You start trying to line up on defense, you better have a dive player, a cue player, and a pitch player.
Yeah.
It might not be the same thing, but at the end of the day, it kind of circles right back to the same idea.
Well, I saw one this weekend I don't know that I've seen before, was shotgun pony set 5 wide in motion every play. And I thought that was that. I see less on Monday Night Football these days. So, Howie, I'm gonna let Coach get out of here. I know it's spring break and he's got better things to do than talk to me. I got better things to do than talk to me.
I hear you, Ed.
Coach, we're going to let you get out of here pretty quick. Let's go back to Friday night real quick, talking about all the different formations. You saw a little bit of everything from Collinsville: 3 wides, 4 wides, 5 wides, 2 running backs, and all that. How do you feel like your defense held up as far as getting adjusted to all those formations?
Well, for the most part, we've done a pretty good job. Like I said, we had a couple busts early in the game, early in the first quarter. We tried to mix it up on them a little bit. Obviously, like we talked about, they're a well-coached team, and we talked about having wrinkles. Try to show somebody something they hadn't seen, and we did that, but we also didn't do a very good job of executing a couple times early and hurt ourselves. So, but all in all, I thought we done a pretty good job getting lined up for the most part. Didn't do a very good job of executing at times, but done a good job of recognizing formations and getting people in the right spots.
On the special team side of it, couple of punts, good punts. You got the play that you run from time to time, and where Owens will kick it. But getting back to game film real quick, how many games film will Asbury be able to see on them and or on you, and then vice versa?
Well, it's kind of what we were talking about a while ago. How it's out there. You know what I mean? In the world of technology that we live in, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they had every game on us. Because it's just it's so readily available. You do a little bit of work, and behind the scenes, you can come up about whatever you want to. Same for us. You can pretty much run down about whatever you want to. You can find film here and there, and it's not like we try to hide anything. If Coach calls me and he wants some film, most of the time I'm ready and willing to trade whatever he wants to trade. So it's not real hard to get your hands on some game film.
The reason I kind of brought up I didn't mean to, but I did, about the Owens doing the kicking and all that. There was one time you lined up and it was 4th and 5, I think, and I'm sitting there thinking, does he realize it's 4th down? And I'm kind of yelling, "Hey, I'm not really yelling. I'm like, hey, do you realize it's 4th down?" And I'm telling whichever coach I'm there with, if he realizes it's 4th down, then you ended up changing the formation and kicking out of like he's going to go for it. And it's no secret, you've done it several times this year. So if they've got any game film, they have saw that. But
right.
But it's just, I'm like, at one point I'm like, what is he doing going for it 4th and 5 on his own end there for a second. And then I'm like, oh yeah, crap, I forgot he'll come out of that punting. So and you did, and Owens has done a very good job at basically a quick kick. Done a very
Right.
good job all year long getting that quick kick off and getting a pretty good distance out of it.
Yeah, well, it kind of sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you don't, but it kind of keeps the opposing team from setting up return. You keep your offense on the field. They really have to stay in a defensive look. Might not get somebody back to return it again, trying to just create an advantage any way you can.
And here I am asking you about left-footed kickers. You got one on your team. Just let him get out there and kick a couple left-footed kickoffs and see what happens.
I hear you.
But he'll get that. He'll catch that. Randy, I don't know if you've seen it on film, Rob. He'll catch that ball and he'll take one step and he'll kick it left-footed and he gets around 30 plus yards out of it.
Better than I can do with both foot.
Well, if he kicked with both feet, I'd like to see that myself.
I would too.
It might be a rough outcome.
Another stitch.
Yeah. So, Coach, going to Asbury and everything. What's the game plan for? Not the actual game plan, but preparation, getting over there Friday night, pregame, and all that stuff.
Yeah, we just like we always do. We want to try to get there about 5:30 or so. Don't want to be in a hurry, but we definitely don't want to get there and sit around too long, because you sit around and give them kids too much time to think, they'll wind up doing something they ought not do. You don't want to give teenage boys too much downtime, but definitely don't want to get there and have to be rushed. But just get there enough time to kind of get settled in, get everything ready, and be on the field when we need to be on the field, and then get off and be ready to go.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Can we get some breaking news of captains this week? No, I'm messing with you. I know you don't want to tell the captains. So
I ain't got no idea.
The team in green, some of his players. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's right.
So, we're going to let you get out here. Fall break. It's just Tuesday, but I know it's been a long week for you. Last part of the show, shout outs.
Oh, Lord. I hate to be repetitive, Howard, but it is what it is. Still gotta give a shout out to the wife. She's my rock. She's my cornerstone, my number one fan. So there's a lot of people does a whole lot for me, but they don't know them do what she does. Again, this coaching staff, I couldn't ask for a better group of guys. They just keep hanging in there and keep busting their tails and working hard and, coming up with stuff that can benefit us. And, and give a shout out to all these dang kids on this team. They got a great mentality. They just keep working. They just keep showing up. And, that's all you can ask for. So, yeah, I guess that's all I got tonight, Chief.
Well, is Mama still making Dad bring you food up there for lunch? Make sure you eat.
She will send up some, not as much as what she was, but that's all right. Because like I told her, and like I told y'all, I could definitely stand to lose a few.
But Mama Waldrop, if you want to, me and Randy will be more than happy to take what Coach don't want.
I hear you.
Yeah, we've never turned down no free food anywhere before. So, Coach, best of luck coming up this Friday night at Asbury, 7:00, Asbury Stadium. Rams against Rams. You don't hear that very often, but the green Rams against the red Rams, and we're hoping that the green Rams come out on top. And if we can do anything for you, Coach, let us know. And looking forward to seeing you Friday night on the sideline, where I always tell you what play to run on the first play, which is always go deep. And you don't pay me no attention, and that's fine. I'm used to it. I started that tradition a long time ago with the man that you was talking to when we first went on there with Coach Benefield. I'd tell him that, and of course, he would always run that fullback straight up the middle, and then look at me and give me that little grin, and then I wouldn't expect anything different from him myself. And
yeah, I hear you.
So, but best of luck to you Friday night. If we can do anything, help you out, Coach, let us know, and appreciate your time. And hopefully we can get some players on next week, finish getting the seniors on next week if we can. And maybe I can keep better track of the calendar and knowing when fall break is and all that stuff is moving forward. But Ed Burn, Coach, y'all get so many breaks during the school year now. I remember that is all we could do, get one day off for Thanksgiving.
There ain't no doubt, buddy.
So, but anyway, for QB1, Randy Cunningham, I'm Lee Howard Chain, and of course, Coach Brad Waldrop. And get out and support the Rounds Friday night at Asbury. I know they appreciate the fans that comes out and support them, and everybody's been coming out and supporting you, Coach. You're having a great crowd every weekend and week out, and I know you're pleased with that.
Absolutely.
So go out and support the Rounds.
Hey, my shout out, greatest rivalry in sports, in my opinion, third Saturday in October. Go Vols. Can't wait to get down to Tuscaloosa.
I hear you.
Coach, who you got, Tennessee or Alabama?
I'm taking Alabama.
Hey, you want to take Alabama?
Can't help it.
I could have picked that one for you.
Yeah.
Well, who you going to take, QB?
Alabama. I don't want to be nice about anything else. One of the most beautiful places in the SEC to go, University of Alabama. And for the most part, treat it well unless we win. Then I'm treated like crap. But that's
well, that's like that everywhere, ain't it?
Yeah.
So, all right. Good night, everybody.